5 seconds to the open. Ready?
Who wants to get this thing started right about now?
Welcome to Follow the Money Weekly with your host, Jerry Robinson.
Welcome.
Not just some guru.
Oh, really?
Your host is an economist and a best-selling author.
What an interesting news item. I'd better write that down.
And just someone who likes to make money and help you to make money. Welcome to Follow the Money Weekly. And here he is, Jerry Robinson.
Friends, welcome to you all around the world. Welcome to Follow the Money Radio. So grateful to have you on the program today. Today, of course, is the final podcast of 2018 for Follow the Money. It's just been an unbelievably fast year. 2018 has just blazed by. And as we look back and see what has happened in 2018, we see a tremendous amount of volatility. I read one report, by the way, that said that 2018 was the most volatile year on record going back in market history. I have a hard time believing that. It feels like I've lived through more volatile times than this, but maybe they're right. Maybe on some metric, maybe, they're using data. They can say, well, this certainly is based upon this one metric. However, certainly we have seen a lot of volatility in the past. And what we're seeing now is a little spooky because we do have a lot of geopolitical tensions that are still unsolved. We have the Fed, which doesn't seem to have, a firm grasp on whether the economy is growing robustly or whether it's, needing to be, they can't seem to get inflation well above that 2% goal, which they've been talking about for so long. So we'll talk about that on today's podcast. But the main thing is that this is the last podcast of the year. And I have really good news. On the other side of 2019, I'm going to be joined back with my wife, Jennifer. She's going to be joining us on the podcast in 2019, and I'm very excited, at least the first several podcasts. And so those of you who enjoy having Jennifer on the podcast, I know she had so much value. Many of you who are members, she is always there helping you, giving you insights and answering questions and helping you understand our services and everything. So she's just a wonderful, wonderful asset to Follow the Money. And I know that you'll enjoy having her voice and her perspective on the podcast in 2019. So we're very excited about that. And also, we want to mention that we're going to be giving away my top 10 trading rules on today's podcast. Stick around for information on how you can download those from our website. So today, what we really want to focus on are a few things. Number one, trading amid this volatility. When you're trading stocks or you're investing in stocks, it all depends on your time frame, whether volatility is your friend, right? So whenever you're a long-term investor and volatility begins to pick up and stock prices go down, well, that's not necessarily something that you would want as a long-term investor. I mean, somebody might say, well, it allows us to buy cheaper. But, if you have to dip into those funds for any reason, of course, that's not helpful. If you're a short-term trader, like a swing trader or a day trader, then the volatility is actually very good for you because it provides a lot of motion, a lot of movement. And so certainly we're seeing that as we look at the stock market right now. A lot of volatility is making a lot of profits for traders, short-term traders, and that's what we do a lot of here at Follow the Money. We have a lot of short-term traders, not all day traders, mind you, but many of them are short-term traders, swing traders, if you will. And for those of you who are new to our service, for those of you who are not currently members, one of the most powerful services that we provide here at Follow the Money is something that we've been providing since day one, almost day one, all the way back to 2012. Back in 2012, I came up with the idea of releasing a daily trading idea complete with, entry price, stop loss price, all based upon our own system, our profit tracker trend trading system. And what these trade ideas were meant to do was to provide you with a stock or an ETF that we believed would rise anywhere between 1% and 5% within the next 1 to 5 days. Once it actually reached its trigger price, and the trigger price is the price that we say, if the stock or the ETF reaches this price, then we would buy that stock or ETF and expect a 1 to 5% gain in 1 to 5 days. And we've been looking over the track record of that system just recently, and you can actually go to our website and see it, whether you're a member or not. It's right there in our menu underneath where you can click on the performance. And what we see from this track record is the fact that we have nailed so many short-term gains in 2018. We gave roughly, maybe, almost 240 trading ideas, 240 trading ideas so far in 2018 through our daily trading idea, because, the market isn't open every single day of the year. So about 230 trading ideas we've put out, and so far about 60 to 70 of those have failed to reach the trigger price. However, the remaining number of those have all at least, gained, 0.01%, so we've at least had some of them go up. But if you look at the actual percentage of stocks that have actually gone up 1 to 5%, it is the lion's share. It is a tremendous number that most of these stocks that we put out on a daily basis will rise 1 to 5%, if not more. Some of them go up 30%, 25%. I'm looking at 22%, 21%, 18%, and so many of them. And oftentimes within that 1 to 5 day period. So that's a powerful service, that we provide to our members. We have so many tools to help aspiring traders and investors, not just the daily trading idea, which again is 1 to 5% goal in returns within 1 to 5 days. But we also have our private group coaching for our gold and platinum members. And also just for our platinum members, we have a private Twitter page. For those of you who are on Twitter, and you would say, I'd love to get Jerry's trading ideas in real time when the market is open. I'd love to receive those. Well, you got to be a platinum member. That's what we provide for our platinum members. And so those of you who are on Twitter or you would like to receive those, that's how you do it. And we just put out an idea yesterday. I'm recording this, by the way, on Thursday, the 20th of December, just 5 days away from Christmas. And the Fed made a big decision yesterday, Wednesday, the 19th of December. They decided to raise interest rates again for the fourth time so far this year, 25 basis points, bringing the federal funds rate up to a range that goes all the way up to about 2.5%. And on our private Twitter page, I had told our members that this is what I was going to do as soon as, if I gave 2 different ETFs, and I said, if either one of these ETFs reach this price after this announcement, I'm going to, step in. And sure enough, both of those ETFs just went up really nicely right after the announcement. And our platinum members were able to really cash in. We had, several of you platinum members who reach out to us by email. One of you, one of our good friends and longtime members, Rick M., reported a $1,600 gain. Jeff also reported another, nice gain. We had other people as well reporting gains from these trades. And this is my point, is that you don't have to feel like the news that surrounds you just simply controls you. You can take control. You can take control of your finances. You can learn how to profit from what's going on around you. And I see this so many times, friends. I see so many people who really become paralyzed by what's happening around them. They see the news, they see what's happening, they become fearful. They assume that there's nothing that can be done. And I tell you, there's nothing further than the truth, from the truth in that, is that you really can take action. You can learn how to navigate these financial markets and, learn how to grow your own wealth through the process. And that's what we teach right here at followthemoney.com, teaching you how to take control of not just, your IRA or your 401k or your brokerage account or whatever the case might be. We're not just all about stocks here, even though we do talk about stocks quite a bit. We have a whole income university where we talk about other ideas. We love, as I've talked about on this podcast numerous times, we love affordable real estate, affordable housing. We love, the idea of wholesaling real estate. We love the idea of online income. We love the idea of creating multiple streams of income. That's what we teach here. And stocks and ETFs can be one way for you to do that. It's a very powerful, powerful way. And so anyway, we have so many different services for our members. And in fact, I was just talking on our last private group coaching, which we do every Tuesday live at 10 a.m. Central Time for all of our Gold and Platinum members. And we just did a teaching on 3 ways to play volatility. When volatility is rising or volatility is falling, that can be a really interesting trade. And we talked about 3 ways to play that, with specifically using our trend trading system to do so. So really fun stuff. We've been having a great time here in 2018. So while the market has been wildly volatile this year, we've actually been able to turn those into profits. We've been able to, take that volatility and actually turn it for our good. So certainly excited about all of that, and I encourage you, those of you who are not currently members, to go check out our site, followthemoney.com/join. And at the very least, become a free bronze member. You start getting access to our Robinson Report, which we put out each and every weekend. It's a free light edition of our much more robust premium Robinson Report. But inside, you'll get trading ideas. You'll get other information as well. Some of my latest comments. You'll get access to our market tracker system, which always tells you whether the market is in an uptrend or whether it's in a downtrend. Hugely valuable information, that we give away for free to those bronze members. So, at the very least, check out that level. And also, I want to give away on this podcast a PDF that so many people have told us has been helpful to them, and that is my top 10 trading rules. My top 10 trading rules. I've been trading for nearly, over 2 decades now. And one of the most important things I've learned during that time is that you have to use rules. You have to use rules because emotions will take over if you don't have firm rules in place. And I want to give away this PDF. It's our top 10 trading rules that we've created, and you can actually download that for free just for an email address. Simply go to our website, followthemoney.com/trading rules. And there you'll be able to download that free PDF. It contains all 10 of my, some of my most important trading rules that I teach our members. I teach other traders, people I coach and mentor. It's hugely valuable. And you can download that again at followthemoney.com/trading rules. Now, as I mentioned, let's talk about this Fed statement that had come out on Wednesday. I just want to briefly talk about this and also talk about the rise we've been seeing in gold and also the fall we've been seeing in stock prices. First of all, the Fed, as I mentioned, they announced that they were going to be raising interest rates again for the 4th time this month. It was not a surprise to see the interest rates hiked by the Fed at their last meeting. What was somewhat interesting was the fact that the Fed chair, Jerome Powell, stated that the Fed had decided to slow down its pace of rate hikes as we head into 2019, only stating their intention to have 2 interest rate hikes in 2019. Now, what's interesting about that is the fact that their stated metric that they've been looking at, the Fed has been looking at, they've been saying they've been looking at, is an inflation rate of around 2%. That's been their goal. And they've had a really hard time, despite the fact that they have had all kinds of accommodative monetary policy. They've had a hard time reaching that goal consistently, just staying at that goal. And so the fact that they're slowing down a little bit here, especially as the economy is supposedly just doing so unbelievably well, you would think that they would want to, kind of take away the punch bowl, if you will. And by only raising interest rates 2 times next year, or threatening to raise them 2 times next year, that doesn't quite jive with the talk that we've been hearing from the Fed. In fact, just back in October, the Fed was saying, oh, we're going to have to raise rates much more because the economy is growing so strongly and everything is so great, and so we're going to have to raise rates. And then suddenly, when the stock market starts to tank a little bit, the Fed changes its tune all of a sudden and says, well, suddenly, we're not so sure about that plan. Maybe we're not going to do that. So my point is that the Fed, and if you've ever wondered, if there's ever been any doubt about what who the Fed serves, they serve, the investor. They serve the stock market. The stock market is what they look at. They'll tell you that it's inflation. They'll tell you that it's economic growth. They'll tell you that we look at GDP figures. I'm sure they look at those in their meetings, but I'll tell you what gets their attention more than anything in the world, and that is investors who are selling stocks and pushing the stock market down, because the stock market in the end becomes the metric by which the Fed really does measure its policy. It really is unfortunate that the Fed is so driven specifically by equity prices and even the bond market as well. Bond market, of course, is much more important in the long run than the equity market, but nevertheless, don't ever forget where you are. I was recently doing an interview with someone else. I was on somebody else's podcast, and they were asking me how much impact, the president truly has upon the economy. And my answer to that question was he has an enormous impact, as does the Federal Reserve Chair and as does the U.S. Treasury Chair, the head of the U.S. Treasury, is the fact that these guys are running a faith-based economy. They really are. There's faith. There's faith that runs this economy. And when the faith is running high in the economy, then you're going to see that reflected in higher equity prices. You're going to see that, reflected in solid economic figures. But however, when the faith in the economy, when the faith in the institutions begins to wane, you see the opposite. And therefore, it is extremely important for the leaders of America, especially the financial institutions of America, to continue to promote faith in the economy. Don't forget that our United States dollar is backed up entirely, not by gold like it was in the past, not by silver as it was in the past, but instead by the what? By the full faith and credit of the federal government. Let me say that again. The United States dollar is backed by the full faith and credit of the federal government. That word faith is an extremely important word, and that's how our economy is driven. And so therefore, all of the economic institutions that exist at the governmental level require that they maintain the public's faith in the institutions and in the currency and in their planning. And so because of that, that's why I have always been a gold bug. Those of you who've read our book, Bankruptcy of Our Nation, or you've listened to this podcast, for more than a few months, you know that gold becomes the primary beneficiary from poor monetary policies and from a lack of general faith among the public in the institutions and in the currency of the United States. And that goes for the whole global system, because the whole global system is really just a big global paper money system that has no backing. So gold becomes the winner in that kind of environment. And in fact, we just called a new position uptrend for our members in gold just a few weeks ago, and we've seen since that gold has been rising steadily. In fact, I'm looking at a chart right now of gold, and we broke through the key $1,238 resistance level that we have been pointing at for some time. And as I look at this chart, I see gold zooming up now, and it's just touching its declining 200-day moving average. And so for those of you who know about charts or moving averages, that 200-day moving average is a really important number for anything. Whether it's, gold or silver or some other commodity, or whether it's a stock or an ETF or whatever, the 200-day moving average is like the smoothed out price of that particular asset over the last 200 sessions. And in this case, 200 days. And right now, gold is coming up right now and touching that line. And if it breaks above that line, especially on higher than normal volume, as it's looking like it's going to do now as I look at the chart, it could get back down. This is an area of resistance as well. So I'm looking at this chart and looking that it may be breaking out here, may not. I mean, it may turn around and, this is an area where you do have a tremendous amount of resistance and sellers can step in and push the price down. But if we get a nice push above the 200-day moving average on gold, you can expect gold prices very likely to continue higher into the coming weeks and months. And that also goes for gold mining, which we just called our new position uptrend on gold mining a few weeks ago as well. They both kind of formed the new position uptrend roughly about the same time. And gold mining has also been just mired in a downtrend for so long. We really like playing gold mining and silver mining stocks. Silver is still, kind of in a funk, still kind of in a sideways groove after, really being in a prolonged downtrend. But gold and gold mining are beginning to break out. And it's not just any kind of gold mining stocks. It's predominantly what we've been seeing are the large cap gold miners in this environment. And so certainly seeing a lot of strength on the side of gold. We had a little bit of an issue with volume there for a little bit, but we've started to see the volume starting to come back in. There are concerns here about this economy and where things might be heading. So gold prices staying very firmly on our radar right now, looking very, very positive as they try to break out above their 200-day moving average. Stock prices, on the other hand, facing a pretty tough thing. And, we haven't seen a really good long-term downtrend hit stocks in some time. And the last couple of times that we've even seen within our own trend trading system, our profit tracker system, the last couple of times we've seen over the last several years where the stock market has tried to form a new long-term downtrend, every single time, I'm not kidding you, every single time the Fed steps in and saves the day. Because the Fed is worried about that stock market because they know that public perception really boils down to that 401k statement or that IRA statement, right? Or, of course, you can even get more rudimentary and think about, pay raises and wage increases and all this. And they're always looking at that kind of information. And so when they see the stock market start going down, the Fed obviously starts to think, what are we going to do? Are we going to keep raising interest rates in the face of this? Or are we going to continue? I think if the Fed had not raised interest rates this week, that it might have actually been worse than what we actually saw in the market. And the primary reason is because if the Fed didn't raise interest rates, it would almost be like they were admitting that the economy, couldn't handle a rate increase. And that might have freaked out investors. It might have freaked out investors quite a bit. And so we might have actually witnessed, a more of a big exodus. We really didn't see too much in the way of tremendous pain, but we are nearing a new long-term downtrend, and it makes us wonder, are we in for a potential new long-term downtrend on stocks, and how are you going to make money in that environment? Did you know you can make money when the market is going down? We have so many exciting teachings we have planned for our members in 2019. Many of them include how to make money in a downtrend as soon as this downtrend is confirmed. We're going to be providing a lot of information to our members on how to profit on the downward slope of this market. You can use inverse ETFs. You can use options. You can use other assets like commodities and even currencies and other global ETFs that are somewhat uncorrelated. Not always, but sometimes you can find some that are uncorrelated to the U.S. stock market. And even cryptocurrencies as well, which, by the way, have just been in a total funk over the last several months. And they're starting to looks like they might be starting to bottom. We saw the total market cap of all cryptocurrencies kind of bottom out roughly at about $100 billion. Sounds like a lot, but when you think about where we were back in December of 2017, that number was up to about 800 billion. The total collective market cap of all cryptocurrencies. So we've come down, really strongly, since that time. And now we're kind of, forming, it looks like maybe a bottom and now starting to curl back up. I think right now, as of this recording, the total market cap on all those cryptocurrencies is around $130 billion, which is off of the recent lows. So people often ask us about cryptos as well, and we do have a crypto portfolio that we provide to our members. We're getting ready to release a brand new one in January, we're going to update our portfolio and provide some really good insights. We're actually picking a couple of new cryptos that we're going to be adding to the portfolio and replacing a couple of the ones we have now with some ones that we think have more promise as we move into the future. And so we're looking forward to that. But we have so many exciting teachings planned in 2019. We're going to be teaching strategies to all of our Platinum members, incredible strategies, channel trading. We're going to be teaching, how to actually profit from these different mega trends that are certainly on the horizon. We're huge gold and silver, bulls here at Follow the Money. Of course, we're trend traders, so we don't just buy them when they're moving flat. We do for our core portfolio, our core holdings. But as far as trading, we wait for an uptrend. The same thing for uranium. The uranium bull market is going to be enormous when it finally arrives. We love playing the rise of China, and right now China has been beat down so good. All of their stocks have been beat down. Quality stocks like Tencent and Alibaba, and just on and on, Naspers. I mean, you have so many different high-quality Chinese stocks that have really been hit that are going to run in the next uptrend. There's no doubt about it. We love the idea of investing in blockchain. We like the idea of self-driving electric vehicles. We like the idea of actually investing in cannabis stocks. I mean, there's so many exciting opportunities that lie ahead, and we want you to be a part of our community so you can enjoy that. So certainly a lot of exciting things ahead as we move forward. As I've mentioned, you can download, by the way, for free today, our top 10 trading rules. Just simply go to followthemoney.com/trading rules, and there you can download that completely free report. Well, I want to wish you a happy rest of your year. As we close out 2018, it's really been quite a year. And I want to wish you a Merry Christmas, you and your family, that you have a very safe travel wherever you're going to be. And it's really been great serving you this year. We're looking forward to a really great 2019. And so we just can't wait for it. Look forward to seeing you on the other side. We'll be right back. Hey friends, this is Jerry Robinson from Follow the Money Weekly. Recently, we have been receiving many emails from our listeners commenting on the great help they're getting from our precious metals expert, Tom Cloud. Gold and silver are excellent hedges against the growing threat of coming U.S. inflation. Who's your gold guy? Make it Tom Cloud. With over 30 years' experience with precious metals, Tom will answer all of your questions. Don't buy your gold and silver through some call center and pay inflated prices. Call my good friend Tom Cloud and speak directly with him and get all of your questions answered. For a limited time, Tom is offering free shipping and insurance on every gold and silver purchase made by our listeners. Call 800-247-2812. And when you do, tell him that Jerry Robinson from Follow the Money Weekly sent you, and he'll throw in that free shipping and insurance on your entire order. Call your gold guy, Tom Cloud, right now for the very best deals on gold and silver coins. 800-247-2812. That is 800-247-2812. All right, friends, welcome back to the program. In our final moments here, I just want to give you an announcement, really exciting announcement. As we move into 2019, many of you know that we run followthemoney.com. I have other online businesses that I've run for years. But one of the things that we're doing in 2019, I'm so excited about, is that we're going to be launching a series of live monthly Bible teaching webcasts. I tell you, these are going to be powerful in 2019, and you can learn all about them by going to our brand new website, truerichesradio.com, truerichesradio.com. And there you can click on the area where you can reserve your seat. We only have 1,000 seats available for this upcoming Bible teaching series. It's going to be going throughout the majority of 2019. In January, it begins January 13th. And that very first teaching is going to be called Woe to the Rich, a powerful, powerful teaching that takes us back to the moment of Christ's birth, when we had the rich men from the east, the rich wise men, and we also had the poor shepherds, both being called to the manger to see the baby Jesus. We're going to be talking about some powerful things there. We're also going to talk about, in February, the sword in the Old Testament. If you've ever read the Old Testament, there's a lot of violence in it. And we're going to be talking about that violence in the Old Testament, some really powerful things and what it means for you and I today. Then we'll talk about, in March, the sword in the New Testament, how things have changed in this New Testament era, this age of grace. We're going to take a look at the biblical view of the American Revolution in April. We're going to talk about democracy, the actual form of government, versus what the Bible has to say about government in the month of June. In July, we're going to talk about the three doors of Christendom. You know, there's Catholicism, there's Orthodoxy, there's also Protestantism. There's a lot of different ways to get into quote-unquote Christianity. We're going to talk about what that's all about. We're going to talk about the gospel of the kingdom, which was the primary message of Jesus Christ during his life and in ministry, his earthly life and ministry. We're going to talk about that in August. We're going to talk in September about the power of fasting. It's going to be an incredible teaching that is just simply so powerful on the topic of fasting. I think it's a neglected spiritual discipline, and I think it's also a very powerful thing that can help you in your own life. And then we're also going to be talking about probably one of the most interesting topics, I think, for our time, and it's never talked about, ever talked about, literally never talked about, and that is what happened. This is going to be talking about this in October. What happened to the sin of usury? You know, the idea of charging interest. You know, like for the first 1,500 years of the church, there was just absolutely no one who thought that charging interest was biblical. Even Martin Luther, who was, led part of the Protestant Reformation, he was against usury. But today, we find that interest charging is everywhere, and it's completely fine. And so what happened? What happened to the sin of usury? We're going to talk about that. Very powerful teaching. So monthly teaching series. These will be teachings that you can come to. You can register for these teachings. They're going to be absolutely phenomenal. We've been working so hard to provide you with some incredible value for these teachings. And of course, when I say value, they're completely free. We don't charge for the Word of God, nor the teaching or the revelation that we've received. But you can go to truerichesradio.com. Check out that new website that we have. We have a lot of free resources there for you. And then also click on the button that says reserve your spot, reserve your seat. Get yourself reserved or get your seat reserved for this upcoming teaching series in 2019. You will not want to miss it. And with that, friends, that brings us to the end of our program. I really do wish the very best for you and your family as we head into this brand new year. My prayer for you is that you would increase, that your family would grow in strength and in wisdom, that you would have favor in your job or favor wherever you're at, whatever you put your hand to do, that you would have favor. That's our prayer for you. God bless you, my friends, and we will see you at the very beginning of 2019. Until then, don't forget, if you want the truth, just follow the money. Have a safe and prosperous week, and we'll see you right back here in 2019. God bless.
All of the information contained on the Follow the Money podcast is strictly for informational and educational purposes. It should not be construed as specific investment advice. The views and opinions of our guests and sponsors, including Tom Cloud, are their own and do not necessarily represent the views of FTMDaily.com or Robinson Media Group, LLC. Jerry Robinson does hold an insurance license and at times may offer consulting on life insurance and fixed retirement income products. Follow-up, individualized responses to email or phone requests that involve the rendering of personalized investment advice for compensation will not be made absent compliance with state investment advisor registration requirements or an applicable exemption or exclusion and applicable insurance regulations. Past performance is not indicative of future results. You should be aware of the real risk of loss in following any strategy or investment discussion on the podcast. Remember, never do your financial planning through podcast or radio. It's your money. Be wise. Do your due diligence and always consult a trusted financial professional before making any financial decisions.